Double up.
Champion.
Yes, sir. How are you feeling on this beautiful morning?
Oh snap! Another week, man. Another week.
Another spectacular week, man. A week of
sir.
greatness, as always, man. That's what we do,
Yup.
you know.
Yup.
Let's jump right into this activity here, man. I know it's been I feel like I've been on a break forever, man. I feel refreshed. Okay.
Gets me those.
Hey, man.
It's good to be back.
I know I missed everyone, you know. So let's do this thing. All right.
Alright. I'm looking on the YouTube channel to see if there's anybody on right now. I don't see anybody else yet.
Yeah, that's fine. I think we should be good to go now.
Yup.
Perfect.
Let's see who's online. We can go ahead and get started though, because we got
Looking
a lot of stuff
spicy.
to talk about
Yes,
today.
let's get started, man. It's an interesting time for sure. You know, Bitcoin has not been rising at all lately. You know, it's
I mean, it's
ever
been
since
rising
that
1%, 2% back down.
yeah, I mean, ever since that drop back, I think it was September. It's around September 13th. We
Yep.
saw that massive drop pullback from about $22,000 to about low of about 18, and then it's just been going sideways.
It did a pretty good job on Friday, holding up after Jerome Powell spoke though. You would expect it to crash the way the entire market was crashing. It held up. I mean, it went down to 18,700 or something like that, but it's right back up to 19,000.
Exactly. Wasn't too bad. Well, let's jump into what we're taking a look at here today. While we wait on everyone else to join. You know, recently the White House had what was it? A bunch of groups, other agencies doing research on crypto to come up with a framework, right? And so now we are at this point now where it seems they have come back with some results from their research and everything, and the White House now has a fact sheet.
Fact shit, baby.
You know, for people who change the term of words just because they do not like the meaning or the meaning is not making them look good, I don't think they understand what facts are. But you know,
Oh, this is the old conversation about facts versus the truths.
well, you know, they changed the definition of recession.
Yeah. So of course they can change the definition of facts, because this ain't no facts.
Anyway, so the White House releases their first ever comprehensive framework for responsible development of digital assets, right? And it's a whole document. We're going to drop the link in here if anyone wants to check it out as well. But we're just going to skip over some of the key points, right? Certain things that we find alarming in this document. So it says over the past 6 months, obviously, agencies across the government have been putting together or developing frameworks, right, around cryptocurrencies. And the main areas that they're going to be touching or are touching on are you have your consumer and investor protection, promoting financial stability, countering illicit finance. Jeez, correct that one. And U.S. leadership in the global financial system and economic competitiveness, financial inclusions, and responsible innovation. These are the things that they're trying to get a hold of, right? Which is, it seems like it's something they use all the time. But most importantly, they would like to just slip in there and let everyone know that recognizing the potential benefits and risk of a U.S. central bank digital currency, the CBDC, man. The dreaded CBDC is here. Okay, the report encourages. I know, right? The report encourages the Federal Reserve to continue its ongoing CBDC research, experimentation, and evaluation, and call for the creation of a Treasury-led interagency working group to support the Federal Reserve's efforts. So that would be the U.S. Treasury and the Federal Reserve.
You know what that means, right? You're going to be trading all the US dollars at creating the CBDC, for sure. That might be the escape route for the current fiat system.
I mean, probably. Probably is what it's going to be. But obviously, it's a very long report. But I think I just wanted to just touch on some specific points or some areas in the document that I thought were very interesting and something that I think we should all be paying attention to. So as we know, consumer protection is one of those things that, lawmakers are always passionate about, even though it seems that consumers seem to keep getting hurt no matter what they do. But we can see here, under consumer protections, some of the things they plan to do is to aggressively pursue investigations and enforcement actions against unlawful practices in the digital asset space. Uh, that is interesting because when they say unlawful practices, this is something that the laws are yet to come because there's no stable laws yet, right? Then you have redoubling efforts. This is going to be from the CFPB and the FTC. Redoubling efforts to monitor consumer complaints and enforce unfair, deceptive, and abusive practices seems reasonable. And then leading public awareness efforts to help consumers understand the risk involved with digital assets. That seems like something from, if you're looking at history, right, when they talk about raising awareness or helping people understand digital assets, it seems to always be a thing where they are promoting CBDCs and bashing the general crypto space. What are your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, it's gonna be a very interesting one here. I'm not surprised that it's written this way. I'm sure it was written by the banks. I'm sure this was actually put together by the support of the banks and the big hedge funds, the guys who were able to get involved in the lobbying of all of this. But yes, totally not surprised. When they say they're only helping themselves. The banks do not want to get wiped out by this new technology, and they were late to the show. So the only best way they can do is use legislation or use the power of governments to control it.
Yeah, it seems that way. And, there is a trend of centralization going on, especially within the digital space and digital finance space, right? And it seems like a lot of things that are being done here are sort of like a precursor to getting to this point where there is full control over the whole situation. And then, of course, rolling out your CBDC, right? So we see that, obviously, this is, I don't think it's even a secret anymore. It's been out there. So the Federal Reserve has planned the 2023 launch of a Fed Now. This is essentially the CBDC, an instantaneous 24/7 interbank clearing system that will further advance nationwide infrastructure for instant payments alongside the clearinghouse real-time payment system.
Yo, I read the entire thing real quick.
Right.
The G7, the G20, the big investors on the Ethereum network are all part of this. So how are you sure that the Fed now is not going to be based on the Ethereum blockchain?
Well, I mean, I think there was like some sort of document, some sort of. I mean, it is a crypto in some ways. It's just not, I guess, a private coin, or something that is.
It's going to be based on the blockchain, but it's probably
the
not going to
terminology
be.
is skipping me right now, but yeah, it's. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a
so-called.
government-controlled
Yeah,
coin. Is what it is.
yeah,
Right.
a private blockchain.
Yeah.
Yeah. While reading the article, this is what kind of screamed that out to me. Oh, that was the wrong share. Let me go ahead and share the right screen real quick. Share. Give me a second here. I screwed that one up.
While you do this, I'm going to look at some comments here.
Yeah.
I think it's Justin from you. Is it Justin from you? That's the name. CBDCs will be unavoidable for all of us. I agree. It's going to be unavoidable. But I also want to point out that Bitcoin is not resisting anyone either. Despite all of this, Bitcoin is still there. Still a great option.
Yeah, for sure. I think the big challenge with CBDCs is this whole government money and how they really want to control what you do with your money. And not only you, but other nations as well. Which, once we get to the CPC section of this document, it will show clearly that that's the agenda. CBDCs are not just for supposedly quick transactions, but also for the ability of the governments, especially the US, to enforce transactions a lot much better, much easier. Did I say sanctions? Yeah. So this is what I was looking at in this document real quick. There's this section that was called, let me see here, Exploring U.S. Central Bank Digital Currencies. And then above that was the section that was covering reinforcing our global financial leadership and competitiveness. And we've been saying that cryptocurrencies, blockchains give developing countries an opportunity to trade and compete on the same level.
Right.
But it doesn't seem like the big banks want that. It doesn't seem like the US wants that either. So you can see here in this section, they're talking about leveraging the US position in international organizations to message US values relative to digital assets. Of course, they want to retain the US as the top digital currency country, which is
Yep.
good, which means that crypto is not going anywhere. But as you can see here, the G7, G20, OECD, FSB, the FATF, the international, all these organizations are involved in these new regulations or these new policies that they're putting together. And if you guys know, FATF is one of these organizations that want Bitcoin dead. So they're gonna start using stuff like energy, ESG to push things down. They're going to use all the strength and the power of the U.S., Department of Justice, all the enforcement agencies to collaborate together with the regulators to push the advancement of CBDCs. And if you read further in the part of this document, they want to kill peer-to-peer, like basically make peer-to-peer illegal. And they're also trying to push this whole agenda of ensuring that cryptocurrencies are so-called energy efficient. So which means that they're probably trying to kill proof of work as well. They also said they're going to use the USAID to help developing countries create their so-called CBDCs. So if the CBDCs is still pegged, kind of like what's going on right now, we can't do anything without the euro dollar or the US dollar. They're just basically transferring that to the digital space and saying, oh, guess what? We're going to come here and give you our money and help you create your own CBDCs. But guess what? Those CBDCs will still have to fully rely on the US dollar, which means that their economies, their countries, will still have to fully depend on the US before they can do anything. And if they do not follow their rules and orders, they will just sanction them, and their money can't do anything. Their country is dead. Which means that this all talk about the World Bank, the UN, and IMF trying to help third world countries. They're not really helping. They just want to be able to still control their resources so that they can grow their own countries. I think this are some of the things that I'm seeing here.
Absolutely. I think for any third world country that is worth their salt, I think this is an incredible opportunity for them to separate themselves from, especially developing nations, to separate themselves from this big thumb that is on top of them, right? Because it's been that way forever in the fiat system. And it seems like a unique opportunity for, because first of all, when it comes to something like sanctions, right? I think after the whole ordeal with Russia, there's a lot of countries that are looking at the situation at this point going, if we are all using this SWIFT system, why does one person have the ability to affect us negatively on the system? I understand. Within America, yes, we are leaders and America is dominating everything else. But it does not change the fact that other countries also see themselves as sovereign and don't want other people to be punishing them for taking actions on. So it's a whole thing. This is why we see India, for example. As much as India seems to be quiet, man, they're truly one of those countries that are taking that sort of sovereign action to not be in a system where another country has power over them. So
you know what's funny about that? This old fact shit. Why is it called a fact shit? Again, that's that psychological mental thing that they keep using. It's the smoke and mirrors.
It's the society we live in now, man. There's alternative truths everywhere.
Everywhere. So you know what's so funny? They use the same theory that you used. They flip that to the other side and they say, oh, guess what? What's happened with the Hurricane Fiona? If there's a natural disaster, if there is war, they could use CBDCs to send money to people much quicker, and it's a lot more transparent. We understand the transparency aspect, but you can also take the flip side and say, hey, Canada, we don't like you truck drivers on the road. We're gonna freeze all your bank accounts. So if you were out there and saying, oh, you don't like the way the black people are, maybe you were doing the old Black Lives Matter, and they found you out there on the streets and you were using CBDCs, they can just basically freeze your bank account because they don't agree with the fact that you're out there on the streets fighting for your rights.
This is true. Well, I think I see a future where whenever the next vaccine is out, if you don't get vaccinated, they're just going to take away all of your money.
Yep.
It's the sort of insane things that can happen with a CBDC. We've seen an example in China, right? People just getting charged directly. And
we
it's
are slowly becoming China, I think.
well, that's a rough one to say. I hope not.
It looks like it. It's just a little bit sneaky. We're a lot more sneaky about it. It's not directly.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of things going on that should not be happening in a free nation, right? Home of the free, right? Land of the free.
Yeah.
And I think things like this are just things that people should really give it a second glance before just accepting what it is. So let's look at some comments. Good morning, bros, from the recycling guys. He says, don't skip leg day, bro. I'm skipping leg day every day, bro. Ain't nobody got time for that, man. Listen, man. Train the chest, forget the rest, okay? As long as we look swole.
That's what the ladies look at.
From the nipple up, it's all we care about. That's very, Oh, man. So, Marxism is already in the USA. Listen, man. This is true. We see the insanity that is going on. But interestingly, though, I have noticed recently that there's a bunch of, let's just how we call them, extreme liberals that have been sort of like rolling back their stances because they realize that, how insane they sound. Any final thoughts, sir? Anything else you'd like to cover on this?
Ooh, yeah. So this is my summary of the article. By the way, we shared the article with you guys. Please check it out.
Yes, absolutely.
It's the White House so-called. This White House is different from the past one. This one is also very sneaky about lying because why the hell do you call it the fact shit? Anyway,
sneaky about lying, bro. Have you watched the press conferences with this? What is the lady? The representative of the White House?
I stopped watching TV when it comes to that kind
of
stuff.
Is the black chick now? And this chick is just like, she's like trained to lie. It's like the media representative for the White House. Like, she always comes out and gives bro, these people just sit there and straight up lie. Like, it is shocking to me how these people can go to sleep. Like, when they come out and they just, like I'm talking about, it's just flat out lies, no regard, not even thinking that, literally trying to convince people, but, it is what it is. Carry yourself.
Folks, we really, really encourage you guys to read the so-called fact sheet. It's pretty long, but they've actually bulleted. There's some sections that are not bold that you need to pay attention to that is kind of hidden in there that you need to go read, especially the section about CBDCs and how they're going to use that to enforce sanctions. And it's not going to be sanctions of countries. It could be sanctions of individuals as well. But what I want to quickly point out, I took a few quick notes, is that it looks like this whole article, this whole fact sheet, let's just call it an article, was put together by the banks, right? So they're going to try to kill banking yourself. So this whole idea of blockchains are here to liberate us away from the bank. They are literally trying to kill that with this whole agenda. And they're using the power of the Department of Justice, SEC, all the institutions out there to push that. They're also trying to make peer-to-peer illegal. They're also trying to push the fact that proof of work, they're trying to say, ESG, trying to ensure that, cryptocurrencies are not bad for the so-called environment, whereas fiat is doing way worse. Well, they're going to try to push that as well. They're pushing for proof of stake. They talked about that in there as well. And they might use their own private blockchains to compete against Ethereum, but they look like they're coming after stable coins for sure. They talked a lot about Terra Luna. They keep using that as the risk factor against nations and the economy. And then they also talked about reduction. Well, there's going to be a lot of reduction of junk coin. They said there was about 60% increase in the amount of junk coin in the space between 2021 and 2022. So the good news, though, is that regulations is coming for all those junk coin in the crypto space. So if you're out there buying junk coin, you got to be careful. You don't want to throw your money away because they're coming for you. They're putting the law out there to go after it. And then the best part of this is that crypto is here to stay. They understand the advantage of it. They want to keep America on top of the game, but we just got to be careful because I think this current government, if you're voting Democrat next year, I'm not trying to tell you what to vote for, but if you allow the current government to continue to the next in 2024, we're going to have a lot more challenges.
Does it even matter which way you vote?
I mean, but it depends on, this is the agenda that they put together. It's the current White House.
Yeah, this is some scary stuff, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's scary if the current government continues in the next term because this is not good news for Bitcoiners. It might be good news for some Ethereum ones, but it just basically says that the banks are taking over because we just did the video about Ethereum with this guy saying, small people can't verify Ethereum transactions. It's for the
yeah.
big banks.
Well, you know, I think the recycling guy just put it the best in the comments there, man. Buy Bitcoin and hold.
Yep.
Yeah, because you know what Bitcoin promises, it's so grand, okay, and over time we've seen it being tested over and over again. So at this point in time, I feel like I'm just in this place where I'm just like, hey, let these guys do the best they can, and let's see what happens in the end. Because I do not think that they will win. Okay, society always wins. Things always have to come back to a balance.
True that.
And as far when you push people so much, right, there's going to be a point where they start resisting. History has shown this over and over again. This is why societies have fallen. I trust humanity. They will do the right thing.
True. Well, it's our job to get society to open their eyes, because
it's
got to be one prophet out there. It's got to be somebody out there telling the society, hey, this is not right. This is not the right way that it should be. And a lot of people are just lost away in giving away their privacy, giving it to Facebook, giving it to all these apps, and now allowing the government to say, oh, if you don't take your shots, oh, guess what? You can't use your bank account. This is kind of where it's going.
Yeah, CBDCs definitely take us to a different dimension, to be honest, and it bothers me quite a bit. So, well, we left the links in the comments and the description. If everyone would take a read, take a gander, and let us know what you think about it. Just comment it in the description, or we can start a conversation about it on Twitter, right?
Yep.
All right, final thoughts, sir. We're above time.
Yeah. Again, thanks for joining the Gentlemen of Crypto. If you have not liked the show, please go ahead and like, subscribe. And if you have not followed STAKK, please go ahead and do that. That's what we're here for. We'll be back next week, Monday.
Crypto Warriors, until next time. Brazen out.
00.